Hey folks, this is Chad, and I wanted to tell you that this video is brought to you by Harvest Host. We got here a day early for an event that we're going to be at, and we could have stayed at a parking lot or the side of the road, but instead we chose a Harvest Host. Now we're at a farm. There's horses walking around our Airstream. There's alpacas watching us make this video, and I gotta say, this is a pretty cool spot to be at.
Thank you.
Let me get settled first. Now, Harvest Host has a network of 9,000 host locations across the country where RVers can go park with no camping fees. You can park at a whole lot of cool places like this farm here, or a winery, a brewery, museums, and a whole lot more. You can go to Harvest Host's website now and see all of the great locations before purchasing a membership. There's also great route planning features and discounts to over 1,500 campgrounds. Enjoy 20% off when you use CHAD20 in the discount code. Hey folks, this is the all-new Basecamp Xe. All right guys, come down here. So this Basecamp is unique for Airstream because it's the first Basecamp, and if you don't know this, Basecamp is the #1 selling, the 20X, the #1 selling Airstream overall. This one now has the Trade Winds package. Down here, we're gonna have 810 amp hours of battery power. That's 3 GC3 Battleborn 270 amp hour batteries. We also got a really cool new outside shower, and I know you guys are like, yeah, I've seen that before. Well, we haven't seen it on Airstream, and that is also unique. And then right beside that, we're gonna have the new Truma combi water heater and furnace. That's all new for the Basecamp Xe. Now this is also going to have 600 watts of solar on top. Yes, you heard me correct. 600 watts of solar on a 20-foot camper from Airstream, which is awesome. And then inside we're going to have a 3,000 watt inverter. Now up front, you're going to see some things that are a little bit different. For instance, we've got the painted aluminum. This is going to be like a truck bed painting or protective coating, and that's aluminum back there, not stainless steel. And if you've noticed, this front propane guard looks different. Well, it is different. Up here, we're gonna have a nice little storage area. The sun's hitting that, so it's super bright. And then above, we're gonna have another storage area right there, great for your power cable. Now, what's unique with this Basecamp, because it is essentially an all-electric coach, we only have one 20-pound propane tank right here. Now we're on the back side of the new Basecamp Xe for a reason. There are some new things back here for the Basecamp. The first thing I'm going to show you is this new data input. That is going to be for Starlink, which is new for the Basecamp because Basecamp's not had it. Now of course we're going to have a black tank flush and city fill and even a fresh water tank fill. But moving up front, we're going to have the smart plug. I also like the new black color that they're using. This is kind of new for the Basecamp. 30 amp input there, 20% more metal to metal contact. And there's also a nice little cool storage area up here as well. And of course that's going to be wet storage and sewer hose storage right there. Now part of the X package that's standard on the Xe is going to be the offer of Goodyear Wrangler tires. Now these are 16-inch wheels, 16-inch tires. Pretty cool looking setup, but it also comes standard from the factory with a 3-inch lift kit by Dexter Axle. And these are Dexter torsion axles, just like you get on a regular Airstream travel trailer, fully independent. Both sides can go up and down their own, which is going to give you a superior ride quality when you're towing this guy behind your Jeep. One of the things I love about the Basecamp is the rear hatch. This guy opens up. You can add things like your kayaks, your bikes, all that kind of stuff inside. There's also L-tracks in there so you can tie things down. And there's a great spot for a cooler. You can throw ice in there. There's a drain at the front there. 50 pounds weight capacity, but throw your drinks in there. Easy access to get your beverage. Now up top, you're gonna see 4 125 watt Marlin solar panels. They're the flexible panels, so they're gonna mount nice and flat. You're also going to see that optional air conditioner from Coleman. Now the reason I bring up the solar now, and we're not actually up there, which we're going to give you a shot so you can see that while I talked about it, is this new input that we have underneath the camper. This is a PV style input, which will allow you to be able to add 300 additional watts to your setup right there outside, and you can get that pointed however you need to get it into the sun, so you're getting max solar input when you're boondocking. How cool is that? That needs to come to the Tradewinds and every other Airstream on the market. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Chad Watson. I work at Airstream in Greensboro. Behind the camera is my lovely wife, Laura, and she is wearing one of the new Chad RV shirts, as well as I. And this shirt is for sale below. If you'd like to pick one up, you can sport my face on your chest.
And what more could you want in life?
What more could you want in life? Now, one of the things I love about the new Basecamp is it does have a 3,000 watt inverter, which means this outside plug is also going to be powered when you're using that inverter and boondocking. Now, we are going to go inside. Now, before we do that, I do want to talk about the door. Now, for 8 minutes, this door is made by Airstream. It does take about 8 hours for them to build it. And you may be wondering, where is this screen door? Because normally that attaches here. It is right there. It's held with a magnet. Now, it is a screen, so it might be something you want to think about with pets, but it is very cool, and it kind of goes out of the way. I'm going to let Laura go inside and give you a shot of the interior of this new XE. It does have a little bit more of a classic Airstream look. And then as we come inside, I'm also going to turn the air conditioner off, because it is a drop-in AC unit, which is going to be quite a bit louder than the quiet stream ducted AC that we see on like the Caravelle and the Flying Clouds and things like that. Now, we are already kind of in the kitchen area, so we're going to talk about the kitchen area. One of the things you're going to get with the XE is the induction cooktop. It's a 1500 watt cooktop. Of course, it's induction, so use the type of pans that work with that. It does have a keep warm feature that I do like, and this is going to work on the 3000 watt inverter. One of the other things that makes this unique is you can simply reach under, pop that up, and then you can take this outside. Laura's really excited about that. You take it outside, and that plug that I showed you outside before we came in, you may have been wondering, why is he showing that to us? It's because you can plug this in to that plug when you're boondocking and still use your cooktop. Now, there's not a oven in here. The only option you really have for the kitchen area is going to be the microwave. So if you're looking to do some baking, you're going to have to figure that one out on your own, because Airstream is not giving that option to you. Now, in the kitchen area, we're going to have a really nice surface mounted stainless steel sink, that residential faucet, which is actually, I think, new, because I don't recall seeing this on anything else. It looks really neat. I wish I had water so I could turn it on and see how it worked. Of course, you have the cover here that can be a cutting board. And then we have pop-up power that also has USB in it. And again, since this has the 3000 watt inverter, that USB plug will work when you have the inverter on. But Airstream does give you 12 volt USB right here that will work when you don't have the inverter on. So it's connected directly to the battery, so you don't have to use power just to have the inverter on. So that's really cool too. Now, as far as storage goes, we're going to have these plexiglass doors, which was an improvement recently for Airstream. That used to be glass, and we had problems with the glass not staying a solid sheet. So
that's a political way to put it.
Yeah. So we've got the new, I like it. It's lighter. I think it's better. You also have the nice organizer that does have a little spot for it to rest and stay in place. And then right here, we're going to have some more storage underneath as well. And then if you're wondering how these latches work, they actually push in and hold. And to open it, you have to push it in, and then it will release. Now under here, you're going to see where you store the poles that are associated with the dinette tables that are in the main sitting area, which we'll show you a little bit more here in a second. Now, as far as the refrigerator goes, it is a 12 volt Norcold refrigerator. There is a tiny little freezer up there, but you're going boondocking. I guess you don't need a freezer. That's at least what Airstream thinks. And then below, we're going to have some more storage right there, deep storage all the way back. And then this is going to come with the 12 volt heater, 12 volt heating pads for your fresh tank, and then your gray and black tank. There's another USB right here for charging and power for the dinette area. That's going to be your power box with your breakers and your fuses. Now we're in the dinette area of the 20. XE, or I should say just the XE. And one of the things I think makes the 20 the #1 seller overall, definitely the more popular one between the two sizes that you can get in Basecamp, is this dinette. If you decided to, you could make the front area just a bed and always be set up as a bed, but you still have this really nice dinette area. Plenty of room for seating. I do think you could easily get 3 to 4 adults here, depending on size. The other thing that makes this unique is the shape of the table here. So if I need to get out and say Laura's sitting here and we've got 2 friends sitting right there, you know, we're having dinner, playing cards, or chatting, well, I can still get out because this will actually rotate in a way that it doesn't move in on the person. So I can be sitting here and I can still rotate it. Also, if you guys remember, I'm the fluffy side of life. Look how much room is right here. If you're wondering if you're a larger person and, you know, I fit in the Basecamp, the answer to that question is going to be yes. But here's what's unique. I can turn this that way and easily get out. So I'm not stranded or trapped inside the dinette area just because I chose to sit here. I can easily get out if I need to get something, to go to the bathroom. Same thing all the way around. If you're sitting here, you need to get out. It's just one person getting out for you to be able to get out, which I like. Table does move all the way around. So if you want to pull it around and make it a little bit more kitchen space for cooking, you can do that as well. And then this goes into a sleeping space if you do have kids with you, which I think this would be a neat floor plan if you had...
Sorry.
Bless you. If you had younger kids, I think this would be a fun floor plan to have with them. Get this in place. There we go. And that's down, and we lock these in. Now, these straps, the way these straps work, you may be wondering if you've ever been in one and you've seen these straps and you're like, why are they there? The reason they're here is they actually go up and connect right there. And then same thing over here. This is going to come up and connect right there. And that helps to keep these cushions from sliding out when you're sleeping on it. Now, as far as the amount of space that you have here, good space there on the far end. When you get up to here, it's going to get shorter. But if you've got a couple of kiddos, I don't know. I'm 40 years old now, but I feel like if I was 10, this would be freaking awesome. You know, like that age bracket. And then you get this one, you have it for 5 years, you come back to Chad, and you get a 30-foot flying cloud with bunks. Right?
There you go. Good sales pitch.
Now, underneath, you're going to actually see a ton of storage. And a big part of that is because over here, we had traditionally the battery box. Well, the battery box is gone because it's now underneath. You get all of that for storage. Now, think of that, because you're going to see that, you know, kind of being just an open space. Think of it as your gear den. Like, that's the spot where you're putting all your gear and your duffel bags, your totes, that kind of stuff. That's the plan for that. We also have storage up here on both sides, so you can add things up there as well. I have no idea what you would put up there, but all of you Basecamp owners out there, and there's a lot of you, tell us what you put up in your hammock areas in the comments. That is the Basecamp Xe dinette. Now, as far as the front here, we do have...
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Oh, they zip.
We do have a zipper that goes up on both sides. It's fairly easy to zip, unzip, and you just bring it straight down like that. Now, something that stuck out to me on this Basecamp immediately coming into is it seems brighter. Now, I don't know if that means the tint that is on the windows isn't quite as strong as the traditional Basecamp, or if they put more lights in here, but this seems brighter on the inside than a normal Basecamp seems in daylight, if that makes sense. Now, one of the big things about the Xe that is a change and a massive improvement, this now has a radio built into it. It's a JBL audio radio system that's right here. Now, Airstream referred to it as a 3-speaker system, and that confused me to death in the marketing material. Now that I have one in person, I can kind of figure out what's going on. Now, this is a Bluetooth only radio, so you'll have to connect to your phone, and if you're boondocking, that may mean that you need to download your music before you go camping so you can play it over Bluetooth. Now, it is a decent sounding radio. We have one speaker down here, which I think is a subwoofer, although it was not putting out a whole lot of low end earlier when I was testing it. And then we have a speaker up here that is a different style speaker. And then on the other side, we have another speaker that is in this area right here. It is a good sounding system, and what I like about this particular system, at least the speaker placement, it really fills the space up with music if you want to listen to music. And then the other thing, they're not pointing straight down in your face or your head when you're sitting at the dinette or you're sleeping. They're kind of up above, and then, you know, kind of broadcasting sound around the camper. It sounds really cool. You need to come here one in person, but it's a cool new feature, and they should add it to every base camp. You're looking at the new max fan that Airstream is using in the base camp. Now this one doesn't have the rain sensor, so that's something you're going to need to keep an eye out for yourself. And it's going to be manual as far as bringing the cover up and down. But you do have 4 fan speeds on it, and you can open it and turn the fan off. Now we have the air conditioner currently running, and one of the cool things is, if you notice on the outside, it's not plugged in. We're running completely off a battery right now and using the inverter that's below, which we are going to show you here in a second. Now the air conditioner is running on high. I wanted to try to give you as much of a indication of how loud it's going to be as much as we can with a mic. But it is loud. Like, we need to talk a little bit louder to be able to talk to each other, and that's just something you need to be aware of. And that is one of the things that all base camps and the Bambi have in common, is this drop-in AC. Now this is an option for the Basecamp Xe as it is on the other base camp. So when you're looking at your kind of starting MSRP on their website, it doesn't include the air conditioner, and it also doesn't include the microwave. So those are things that you're going to want to make sure you option in to get a more true MSRP price. Now coming around to this side, I'm going to have Laura go here, and while she's doing that, I'm going to cut the fan off. And those are just manual buttons that you just turn on, off, and you set the temperature quite just where you want to set it. Now we're going to have a very familiar Touch 50 Victron control panel right here, and that's going to give you a readout of the state of charge, your short power input if you have that. We don't have any right now. What's happening with your inverter, and it's currently inverting. And then we also have AC load. That is how much AC power is coming off of the inverter. Now 32 watts is basically just standard. That's what's being pulled. That's microwave, maybe the induction cooktop is pulling a little bit of power, maybe the radios, well, that's probably DC. And then down here we're going to have solar production, and right now the solar panels is pulling 300 watts of solar into the unit. Now part of that is going to be where the sun's at in the sky. Some of that's also going to be how much energy it can actually send somewhere. Right now it's putting 212 watts or 20 watts into the battery, and then it's covering the inverter's draw. Now one of the things that Airstream doesn't do, which drives me crazy, is they don't show you DC power from the factory. So I'm going to show you really quick how to add that. You're going to go to menu, we're going to go to settings, we're going to scroll up, system setup, and then we'll scroll up to has DC system. We're going to turn that on. Now when we go back to pages, we get our DC power draw. That should just be on from the factory, but if it's not, and you get yourself an Xe, and you don't buy it from Airstream of Greensboro, because we always set that up for you, that's how you set it up. All right, let's go down low and take a look at the system. Now, one thing I do like about it, very easy to pop this cover panel off and get into the system in the event that you need to. I'm going to grab the camera so I can just point and talk. Now we have our 100 volt by 50 amp MPPT solar charge controller right there. Also, look how nice this wiring is for an Airstream. Now, I know I say that almost condescendingly, but seriously, like, this is a pretty nice wiring job. Kudos to Airstream for giving us a decent wiring job. Now, we've got the servo right there. That is the GX. That's what's powering that touchscreen that you see on the top. It's also what's controlling the system. Something else I really like is right here, and we have a cable that's plugged into a Cat 5 data cable that's plugged into the inverter. That is for servicing. That makes it much easier to do updates and service and things like that, in as far as the tech goes too, when we need to do that. We've got the smart shunt right there. That's measuring your power in and out. You also have an emergency disconnect here for the batteries. So the batteries are coming up into this area right here. And then below that, we're going to have our 12 volt DC power distribution disconnect. We're going to have a solar disconnect, which is nice. We don't always get that from Airstream. And then our 24-hour power is right here, and that's a disconnect for that. So that's all things that need power all the time. regardless of whether or not we turn solar off or we turn the 12-volt distribution off. That's right there. We also have a battery disconnect in the front that will basically disconnect that same 12-volt power system right here. So this is going to turn all of your systems off, including the servo. So it's like almost a true battery disconnect when it comes to an Airstream. And then tucked back there is going to be the 30 amp one phase. So it's actually 120 amp. So 12 volt by 3000 watt by 120 amp multi plus 2 Victron inverter. So very nice setup. And then there is a fan, you can see it right there, and it's kind of pointing upward. And that is because if we look in the closet, we're going to see a nice size chase right here. So there's a wall right there. It's going to come up here, and then at the top we've got a vent that is right beside your Touch 50 to let that air kind of come up and out. I guess, you know, hot air rises so it can come out and go up. We've got our sea level 2 tank monitor system right there, and then we've got the controls for the Truma Combi system right here. All right, now we're going to check out the wet bath. Before we go in there, I do want to show this wardrobe slash storage area. We do have a wardrobe up here, but it also comes with these adjustable shelves that you can move up and down, or you can just get rid of those altogether and make that a nice hanging closet. Now, truthfully, who needs hanging clothes when you go camping in a base camp? That doesn't make any sense to me. And then down here, we're going to find our main battery disconnect location. I like the nice simple logo. So we've got our battery, 12 volt power. That's going to be for the heater. Now what that will do when you have that flipped on and light is on, so that means it's turned on, that's going to give the batteries permission to heat themselves in a cold climate. You're really talking about freezing temperatures when you would need that. We also have a charge limit plug or switch here. So this is going to limit the charge input to 10 amps or allow the full 30 amp capacity to charge those batteries. You definitely want to flip that switch before you plug in to a 15 amp or a 20 amp circuit, anything below the 30 amp. And then this is going to be your battery disconnect. Now this is a wireless battery disconnect, or not wireless, that makes no sense. This is a powered battery disconnect. There's a little motor in there, so when you flip that switch, this is going to rotate. You only want to manually use this in the event of emergency, because you can't strip the gears out in there. Now as far as the wet bath goes, remember you can handle all of your bathroom needs all in one space, all at one time, so you can take care of the 3 S's. We're not going to list what those are. You can figure that out on your own, all at one time. Now as far as the shower goes, this is actually a very roomy shower for an Airstream. Now it's a wet bath, and everybody has their opinion as far as wet baths go. Now there is a window in here, which is kind of nice, except for, now I guess if you're in the middle of nowhere, which is what this is kind of designed for, like a the middle of the desert or something like that, this would be nice. I would totally have this open when I was
shower with a view,
taking care of business. But we do have, a curtain to go across, so we can have that privacy. We got a towel rack right there. We also have the, oh, this looks nice.
I like that.
I think this is different than,
it's different than ours.
Upgraded. Even the fan blades in there look nicer.
What's that black button on the side?
That's just the button to release it.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, sorry. Max fan. A little ADD there. We also have the shower wand. Now this shower wand is up in the air. Like, this is tall, because Basecamp is actually taller than the average Airstream itself. And then we've got the clothesline that pulls across, which is going to be for more lighter things. Now there are additional hooks in here. There's one there, and then the same thing on the other side. Wow. Right there and right there. And we also have a Basecamp branded little vinyl filling
toiletry holder. Yeah,
toiletry holder. Now as far as space goes, if you're looking for a very roomy toilet experience, well, none other than the Basecamp. That is the spot to be. We do have the toilet paper waterproof protector right there. That's the official name for it. I'm trying to see. There's nothing else in here. What do you think about the wet bath?
I mean, I don't love the idea of a wet bath, but we do like this. So if I liked everything else and the wet bath was a compromise, I would be okay.
I think so. It's not terrible.
And this is a very nice wet bath.
I mean, it's big. It's actually, you know, we always are comparing Airstreams to Airstreams. We've got a nice mirror right there too. And for an Airstream, this is a nice size bathroom. You know, compared to a lot of your different Airstreams. Now, there's no sink in here. So if you once you wash your hands, brush your teeth, all of that's going to be happening right here. Now, there is a huge improvement for the Basecamp Xe, and this is the first camper to have it. And you know, we don't mention this a lot, but when you buy an Airstream, you get a cool little bag, a little tote bag, and inside of that little tote bag is all of your manuals that were associated with your particular camper. So, for instance, this one has the books in it for the Victron Multi Plus. There's even a manual that comes for the 2025 Basecamp EX right there. And then something else that you should get when you're doing your demo is this really nice Airstream made and branded demo guide or delivery guide. And it goes in like things that you should cover, gives you a place to be able to make notes. I really like that Airstream gives that to you. So make sure your dealer that you purchase, you're now, like, seriously, everybody's coming to Greensboro and buying their Airstream, and we'll make sure you get it. But if you don't come here, then you know, make sure you get that and you utilize that in your demo experience. Now, the real reason for getting this out is we now have the shower miser. And the shower miser is not a recirculation system like the REI Basecamp has currently, or the Tradewinds. What this is going to do is simply reroute your fresh water back to your freshwater tank. So when you have this valve turned on, we'll show you what it looks like on the inside. This temperature indicator is going to be blue, and it's going to take that water up and then back down into your freshwater tank. So that way you're not wasting fresh water to get to hot water, which is one of the big problems when you're boondocking, is wasting water. Once it gets hot, then this is going to change colors, and you can flip that valve again, and then your hot water is going to come out of your shower head. Now, what is cool is it's right here. A great, super great execution of location for this. So it's right there. You're just going to turn this over like that, and it's going to send that cold water back to the freshwater tank, so you're not wasting water. And then when this changes colors, that's your indicator. You flip that right back around, and then you're going to have water going up to your shower head. Love it. That's actually one of those things I would love to see Airstream put in every floor plan in every model that doesn't already have a recirculation system in it. So now with the Xe, you are getting a shower miser. All right, we're going to talk about the Dinette here, but before I do that, there's one page I did want to mention, and it's something I just love about Airstream, and that's this page here. So a few things that you're going to get or have access to on this page. There's a welcome book, but it also will take you to a lot of great videos, little short videos to tell you how to use your camper. A lot of manufacturers don't do things like that. There's also Owner's Hub, which is going to give you an enormous amount of information. You can even get to your owner's manuals that are printed here, but if you want the digital version, you can get that as well. Of course, if you didn't know this, you can name your Airstream, and they send you a little placard you can put on there. And then, of course, Airstream has the Airstream Supply Company. Now, something new that Airstream has been doing for a while, we're going to show this one here, is the International Club. When you buy a new Airstream, Basecamp, Flying Cloud, whatever it is, a new one, Airstream Corporate, so the builder of this RV, is going to pay the Airstream International Club, which is a separate independent nonprofit organization, for your first year membership. Now, let me just say this. We're going to set this down. I am a huge not ambassador, but I'm a huge promoter of that club, and they don't ask me to do it. They don't give us anything to do, to even talk about the club. The reason that I like the club is I think if you join the club, no matter your age, and you go to Airstream Club rallies, you're going to enjoy your Airstream more, and you're going to use it more. It's a fantastic community. We just came back from the Region 3 rally, which this was supposed to be there, and that was where we were going to film this video, but Airstream wasn't able to get it built quite quick enough for us. But hey, it's never too late. We've got it now. Let's talk about the dinette area. So this would be your larger dinette and also kind of your sleeping area. But this is the larger main space. Now, if I had a 20-foot Basecamp I would probably leave this down in the sleeping space and only make it a non-sleeping space occasionally. Laura, what do you think?
Sorry, I wasn't prepared for that question. I agree.
Yeah, because I mean, you got the dining up there, so this doesn't necessarily need to always be like this, but you can do that. And you've got these tables here. They kind of spin around, so you can have a his and her table. You can kind of put them together and have like a longer table here. Now, this in no way is going to be ideal for like, you know, hosting people around the table, because it's almost like you got your little table. You set your laptop here and your iPad. I mean, they're kind of neat. I will say that. And then this tabletop is also going to be part of the bed. Now, before we get to making this into a bed, and yes, I am going to do that for you, let me just point out a couple of things. We've got USB on both sides here, both Type A and Type C. That's going to be connected to your 12-volt power system. We also have 110 power down here, which is going to be difficult to get to when it's in the bed configuration, but it is there if you need it. We have this little storage area here that I showed you when we were outside. Holds 50 pounds. You can fill that up with drinks and ice if you want to. Now, one of the things that they changed, and I want to say this was 2024, they went to a rubberized cover here, so less likely to slip when you're walking on top of that, and you can walk on that. Now, we have storage in this area here. We have actually a nice storage area there, and then a storage area here. Now, I haven't yet pointed out where the other end of the data input for Starlink goes. I'm going to show you. And you tell me what you think of this location in the comments. So that location is down here, and you got to make a U-turn, and you're going to see, keep going, keep going. There, oh, there it is. So there is the other end of that data plug. There's also, as far as I can tell, the only power you have in here is going to be that power that's right there. Now, I'm sure we could easily tap off a 12-volt power somewhere in here if you wanted to add, 12-volt power. But to plug in your Starlink, you got to plug it in right there. That is, I'm going to say, a small miss on Airstream's part. That location is not really the best location, and there's not power there. There needed to be 110 power right beside that 12-volt plug. If there was 110 power there, I'd be a little bit okay with that because it's kind of out of the way, but it's taking up some of your storage space. But hey, at least we already have data inside our base camp, and you're not having to pay somebody or do it yourself. Now, something else I want to point out here, we usually have some storage areas right here in this area to put things, and that's a spot where a lot of times we'll put, actually put when we run the Cat 5 cable or the data cable for Starlink, we'll run it up to there. It's not there. That's just a straight wall there, and I guess that's to give that chase to be able to push air up and out to give ventilation to the bottom of there. Now, the other thing that I'm going to mention, so that side there, as I showed you earlier, was all of the Victron equipment. Well, this side is all of the equipment that's usually over there. So things like your Truma Combi water heater is in this area. There must be something else in this area because this whole bench is screwed down and you can't get under it. So there's no storage down here, which we normally have this whole side for storage on a traditional 20-foot base camp. Now, let me talk about the Truma Combi a little bit. The Truma Combi is going to be your furnace, and it's going to be your water heater. It is a small 2.5 gallon tank, if I remember correctly. It is not a lot of hot water. So you're taking quick showers with the Truma always. So that's something to consider when you are buying the XE. Now, as far as the Truma goes, it is a popular system, it's a popular brand, and I feel like people who have the Truma, whether it's the Combi or the Comfort, they love it. So hopefully we might see Truma in more Airstreams going forward. But as of now, the only travel trailer that's getting the Truma is going to be the Basecamp EX, and it's the Combi. And then way up there above the door is the thermostat for the Truma heater, and that's on this side. You can see the intake here for that. There's a exhaust for the Truma, and there's probably one more that's on the front there facing that direction there. All right, shall we awkwardly watch me turn this into a bed? Laura says yes. All right, you go over there. So the first thing we need to do is pop these off, because these are part of the bed. take those off, and then we're going to unscrew these. And storage for these is right here, which I think there's a pro and a con with that, because if you're using this, if you're using this area for storage, you have to take your storage out just to get these out. So I guess it's that pros and cons of everything kind of thing.
Because in the other base camps, they're under there, right? Like there's storage in there.
Yep. But hey, at least they give us somewhere to hang these up. What am I hitting? There's also...
Do you want me to just set it back there for now?
There's a specific way that has to go in, and the people need to see that.
Okay.
There we go. Those are in place. And then these little guys, you've got the little T there. You want that to be all the way out. And it's just going to fit right into the little junction for that, and then screws down nice and tight. Make sure that's all the way out. Screw down nice and tight, and the same way on both. And then that's going to go back right there, and this will go back right here. And I don't know if you remember, I think it was the 2025 Basecamp video. We couldn't find these, and it's so funny because people in the comments were like, "Oh, screaming! They're up there." These little boards here are going to go up here. Like that. Boom. And then the next step, that comes out. That comes out. Look, that hair came all the way from Jackson Center.
Weird.
It shows back in. Not going to say that that was my best side, but okay. The bed's made. That is probably why I would leave this up most of the time. There's also, you can get from Airstream Supply Store, a mattress that fits in this space that would go on top of this. And I'm sure there's other companies out there that also make mattresses. You can also get a really cool, expensive, but cool tent that comes right off the front door and goes out that way. We'll throw up a photo of that. You would get that directly from Airstream Supply Store. Your dealerships aren't going to sell those because Airstream sells them through their website. Now, this is a huge bed. It's basically a king size bed. And if you're looking for the biggest bed you can get in an Airstream, it's this one. Now, I'll lay this way. I can lay all the way that way. I can lay this way. I can lay that way. You can lay however you want to. Now, one thing about this bed, look, my feet dangle. It is a kind of just straight bed. So if you need to get up at night and go to the restroom, you are kind of shimmying your way down to get up. That's just something to know about this bed. I think that's everything. At least you can get to the USBs. You can't get to that power plug, but you can still charge your phones. All right, folks, real quick, I want to point out just a few things I really love about this and just a few things that I don't love so much. First thing, I love the power system. I think it is a huge upgrade for the Basecamp, and I really think for potential buyers and Basecamp buyers, the new power system from Airstream is going to be that thing that tips them over the curb. Now, with that, I'm not a fan of how much of the storage is taken up by that power system. Of course, you're going to lose, you got to lose things to gain things, and that's kind of the case for this when it comes to that power system. I love that, and I do like the new Truma Combi system. I think that's going to be a huge improvement for the Basecamp as well, both on your heat and your water heater system. Now, the Basecamp is not necessarily something that Laura and I would necessarily buy, and Laura's going to talk about that in a second. But this new system with the shower miser, with the power system, with the solar on top, this really, to me, I would almost consider this, even though we're really more in that flying cloud world and we're thinking about buying a 30-foot flying cloud at this point. I want Laura to give you a little bit of her impression from the female viewer on the Basecamp.
Chad kind of alluded to this. We are not Basecamp people. I like the luxuries we have in our flying cloud. This is kind of more of a step towards tent camping, which I don't particularly want to do.
Upgrade.
It's an upgrade from tent camping, but a step down from the luxuries we have in our flying cloud. But there are things about this I really like, which I didn't think I'd be saying walking into this video. The bed is huge, which we've talked about before with Basecamps. It's almost a king-size bed. I would want a mattress topper or something to make it a little bit more comfortable, but Chad, our dog Rosie, and I could easily sleep there.
Yeah, that one's Rosie approved.
Yes, very much Rosie approved. It's open. It's big. You could easily fit 4 people around this if you had the tables up and 4 people there and host a little mini party, which I don't think you could do that in ours. It would feel crammed if you put 8 people in our flying cloud.
Yeah, that's something I noticed coming in here. I'm not sure why I've not noticed it before, but this actually feels like a very large Airstream, even though it's only 20 foot.
I think cons, small kitchen. I've talked about it. I like the big kitchen in our flying cloud. I don't love the idea of a wet bath, but I would get used to it. And then just the fridge being smaller. It would be hard to pack for a week-long trip in that fridge. What?
Nothing. Did we match on purpose?
Only kind of. I was going to wear mine, and then you said you were going to wear yours, and then you said it was okay if we matched.
So you're saying I copied you?
100%.
I'm fine with that. So, well, remember, these shirts are for sale now. There's a couple of different versions. There's also some kind of Airstream themed shirts down there too that actually has the logo on it as well. Go down, click on those shirts, get you a shirt now. You can get my face on your t-shirt and walk around the campgrounds with it on. Now, these t-shirts are for sale. There's also stickers down there that you can get. But if you buy your Airstream from me here in Greensboro, you get stickers that we print, and you get unique Airstream t-shirts
that you can't buy.
That you can't buy. The only way you get those shirts is to buy an Airstream from me, and then you'll get those shirts, and you can be part of the t-shirt club, which is not currently a thing.
I think it kind of is, though, if you look at people at Region 3 who are wearing your shirts.
Okay, well, it's now a thing. The t-shirt club is now a thing. If you bought it earlier Airstream from me, I wasn't doing t-shirts at that point, so sorry.
Buy another one.
Buy another one. But if you do get your Airstream from us in Greensboro, you get a t-shirt, which is really cool. Now, as far as the Basecamp goes, I love this Basecamp. I'm not sure... I've not really ever been a fan of the Basecamp, and it's been one of those things where I'm like, I don't understand why people buy it, even though the 20 is the #1 selling overall travel trailer Airstream produces. This one, I mean, it feels lighter. I love the colors. I love the power system and all the solar and the batteries and everything. I think Airstream knocked it out of the park as far as that goes. Now, of course, there are some things they could have done better, but overall, I think they did an awesome job with this camper. Now, if you're in the market for a Basecamp Xe, my contact information is down there in the description. You can come right here to Airstream in Greensboro. I'll make sure you're taken care of. You'll get a t-shirt, you get stickers, and a whole lot of other things too. And of course, we have 13 stores across the nation.
13 Airstream stores.
13 Airstream stores across the nation. All 13 of our Airstream stores are 5 rivet, and that is a very important thing for us within Blue Compass. So you can buy your Airstream from me. You can pick it up in Texas or in California or Maine or wherever you want to go. Or of course you can come here to Greensboro and pick it up from me directly. Now, I hope you guys are living riveted. Hopefully we'll see you down the road. Thanks.